Hi, thanks for getting a paint at home kit from the Painting Pottery Cafe. We can't wait to see what masterpieces you come up with. To help you out today, we've made a little painting demo, so we're just going to give you a few tips and tricks to get you started. So we've sanded it down for you so it's nice and smooth, but you just want to grab a brand new sponge and just wipe it off just to make sure that any of the dust from the packaging doesn't mix in with the paint. The reason we're saying a brand new sponge is because you want to make sure that you're not getting any grease on your pottery anywhere. The grease doesn't react with the glaze very well. If there's any grease on the pottery anywhere, it just won't glaze properly. So just make sure that you're not kind of snacking on crisps and stuff while you're painting. Or if you are, you're washing your hands whenever you have a snack, you want to make sure that there's no grease going near it, so just make sure it's on a nice clean surface as well. You've already chosen your colours and you've taken them home with you. Don't worry, they probably look quite different in the bottles to how they look on the little example plate that we showed you, but I promise they will come out super shiny and bright. So if you've got number 8, for example, it might look a little bit brown in the bottle, but I promise when it comes out and it's reacted with the glaze and the heat of the kiln, it'll come out super shiny and bright in this lovely purple colour. So just have faith in the colour charts, I promise it will come out nice. You can also mix the colours if you'd like to. We just can't really recommend how they come out, so have a little play around with that. That's part of the fun of it, really. So any pottery that you leave unpainted will come out the same colour it is now, just shiny all over. So a bit like the background of our little colour chart plate here. So you can see it's a nice creamy colour. It's slightly different from the number 1 that we have, which is our white paint. So you can paint the inside, the outside, the front, the back, the top, the bottom, go wild. It is your pottery to do what you want with. So once you've chosen your colours, you want to make sure you're putting on your light colours first and your dark colours afterwards. So as you can see, this yellow sunshine here is lovely and bright because they've put that yellow paint straight onto the white ceramic, whereas where they've put that same yellow on top of blue, it's gone a bit greeny and it's gone a bit muddy and it's just lost its true colour. So you always want to think about layering up the colours in the right order. Start with your lightest colours and end up with your darkest colours. So with that in mind, if you're going to use black at any point, I would really recommend using it last just to be safe. When we paint in layers, so these 3 greens here are actually all the same colour, just in different layers. So this is one layer of paint, kind of like a watercolour-y brushy effect. If you wait for that to dry, which is really, really quick, you can pop a second layer on if you'd like to. If you wait for that to dry, you can pop a third and final layer on, and that will be really bold and bright. So try not to use too many layers of paint. Try and keep track of how many layers of paint you're painting with. Keep it at maximum of 3, so maybe with little ones, don't let them just squeeze the bottle straight into the pottery. Always pop it onto a little palette or a plate and then use a paintbrush just to be safe. If you're not sure what to paint on your pottery today, that's absolutely fine. You can just use a normal pencil to draw a design. Just make sure you keep that really sketchy for us. If you press too hard with a normal pencil, it leaves a small little orange mark behind, which again isn't food safe anymore. So just keep that really sketchy and then pretend it was never there. It will burn away like magic. So if we've put some paintbrushes in your kit, then they are ready to go. But if you're using ones at home, just make sure they're really clean. If they've been used for oil paints or for acrylics, just make sure they're super duper clean. So again, you don't get any of that greasy business going on. You don't have to get your paintbrush wet. You just want to pop it in a little bit of paint and then use it straight onto the pottery. You can water down the paints if you'd like to, but you don't need to. That just means they'll be super duper watercolory. You can also get a little bit creative with it, so you can use fingerprints to get a nice little unique touch. So these flowers here were all made with little fingerprints, which we then painted around. You can also use sponges. If you've got that nice clean kitchen sponge, you can use it for a nice little effect to get a bit of texture on there. You can scratch the paint away with a cocktail stick once it's dry. That's really good for etching in designs. You can also, if you'd like to, use masking tape before you put any paint on the pottery if you'd like to mask out any designs. That's really good for geometric patterns. So when you've finished your masterpiece, you just want to make sure you pop your name somewhere on it. So you can either etch into the paint with a cocktail stick, maybe on the base, or you can use a paintbrush just to paint your name on there. Just remember not to use a pencil because that will burn away. Time to clear up. Don't worry, if you've got any paint in your hair or on your clothes, it washes out. We go home covered in paint and we come back clean as a whistle. Once you've finished with your pottery, wait for it to dry properly and then pop it back in that packaging that we gave you. Otherwise, kitchen roll or tissue works really well as well. Just try not to knock it and keep it nice and safe until you've dropped it back in with us. Then we'll fire it for you and it'll be ready about 7 days later for you to come and pick up your masterpiece. Can't wait to see what you create.